Ooh, hey, what's going on, guys? We've got a big box full of Titans to look at here today. Not of the Gundam variation, but this time it is the 8th kit in the Attack Girls line. The Titans is a very cool design, and as we've seen from the line so far, the quality has been very nice, and this one has some very unique style and weapons, so I'm really looking forward to checking this one out. Let's go ahead and get into it. So unfortunately, once again, my box arrived a little bit crunched there on the side, but as you guys can see, the main illustration and the text over here is in gloss, where the background and part of the illustration is in matte finish there, but it makes for a very nice looking box aside from the damage over here on this side. Just to give you guys a good close look at that illustration. It's nice, I like it. Very cool character design for this one. On the ends of the box, you just got the same thing there. If we take a look over here on this side, you can see what the unarmored version is going to look like, as well as some different face options. And the hair and face options for this one do look quite nice, very expressive. Here's a look at some of the weapons that you can do with this. You can kind of combine the weapons. You've got some cool clear parts. On the other side of the box, you got to look at what the kit is going to look like in kind of full view, front and rear. It's got these big massive weapons there on the back, which do look quite interesting. And there's the massive effect parts for those. The Thermal Energy Giant Blade Ultimate Form. Very cool. Opening this up, we're going to have obviously a bunch of stuff in here. Building that same weapon 4 times over is going to take a good amount of parts here, and all the effect parts and everything for that. We'll take a look at all the runners in just a moment. Just want to check out the manual here first. On the front of the menu, it's got the same box art there as what's on the outside of the box. The 08 Titans logo there on the back. And on the inside here, you got to look at front and rear view of the unarmored version. Again, the face is there, the same kind of action shot we saw on the outside of the box. Over here, another shot there with the combined weapons and this face cover visor bit there, which does also look pretty cool and clear, and then how to apply the water slide decals, which we do have for the eyes. We've got our parts list here with some leftover parts I can see. So again, these X'd out parts are gonna be ones that you're not gonna use. That'll be leftover bits. And then it's just all construction of the kit and the weapons. And then at the end here, the complete diagram, just so you can see exactly how that's supposed to look, and the weapons and everything. In the back, we've got some more sample images here, so some nice photographs of the completed kit, just for your reference. And it looks like we've got some clear blue. Oh yeah, we do. Right, so there's clear blue and clear red effect parts, which is very cool. And I believe there was an alternate color version of this that was like for North America exclusively, or this is the alternate color version. Yeah, I know there's 2 different color versions of this kit, and one is specifically for North America. Here's a look at the water slide decals that we have included here. Once again, we have options for red eyes or blue eyes, like we saw with the Heracross kit. You've got some options there for those. Those look quite nice. And like with the Heracross kit, we've got a A.T.K girl fashion series here. This is a 1/12 scale set of a PE uniform there for your kit. So we'll see how that looks on there in just a minute. We've got our hand options here in black, which should be the standard array of holding hands, open expressive hands, closed fists, karate chopping hands, finger pointing hands. Then we've got our set of face option parts, both the printed and unprinted versions of those, and the printed ones do actually look quite nice. They seem to be improving in quality, which is great, so we'll see those in the review. Then we've got our parts for the base. The arm sections are just plain clear, but the base plate here is in a clear purple with that pre-printed logo on there, which does look quite nice. That's there in white. The A1 runner is here in this purplish color for some parts for the body. It looks quite nice. Same color here for runner B1, and we've got 2 of this B1 runner. These are recognizable as some parts that actually were used with the Heracross kit actually. The same thing with the runner B3 as well, which was green with that kit. In this case is in a clear yellow. And the body as well. Once again, we've got runner C1 here both in all black or all skin tone, so you can choose how much skin you want showing on the kit. Runner D1 is some more body parts here for mostly the arms and legs. They're in black. Then some more of that here on runner E2. We've got 2 of this section of the E2 runner, and then some more parts over there for the legs. Again, this is a lot of very recognizable Heracross parts, which is interesting that I just built that kit before that. Here's runner E3, which is new for this kit. Same thing with this runner here, runner F2 for some parts there in white. Runner F4, some more parts from the Heracross here in purple. And runner G1 as well, here in gray, is some more parts that were used with the Heracross kit. Runner H1 is some more parts from the Heracross kit here in clear red. And runner H2 is in this very nice light yellow color. And skipping ahead to runner K1, we've got 4 of this. This is obviously going to be some weapons parts, but some more parts there in that nice light yellow color. Runner J is going to be all of our hair parts here in brown. And runner K2 is our effect parts here for this kit. So we've got this runner, we've got 4 of them in clear red and 4 of them in clear blue. Runner L1 as well is one that we've got 4 of, but these are some parts in a very dark gray color here. Some more weapons parts, a bunch of those. Runner L2 is some parts there in white. We've got 2 of this L2 runner. Runner M is some more parts here in that purple color. I'm guessing this is also mostly weapons parts. We've got 2 of this M runner. Then we've got runner N1, N3, and N3 is some more skin tone parts. And runner N2 is some more parts in that dark gray, basically almost black color. So what I'm realizing, and I guess I was just kind of silly not to realize this earlier, is that this is essentially just a variation of the Heracross kit, and that's why it's sharing so many of the Heracross parts. If I look at it closely, which I just didn't really look that closely before, I can see, yeah, basically all the body is pretty much all the same as the Heracross kit. It's kind of like how the Arachnate and the Circuit kit were variations of each other, so that's what's going on with this one as well. So, alright, interesting. I'd never noticed that until now, but now I know, and now I can build it up and see how it's going to look, and I'm very excited to do that. I think it's a very cool design. Let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, so let's just first take a look at her wearing the included PE uniform. Now, yeah, it looks kind of dumb, to be honest. In the packaging, the PE uniform looked fine, so in theory, I don't know, it could maybe look better on some different kits, but I don't know. On this particular kit, it looks very strange, just because up around the top, around the neck, it looks weird, doesn't fit right, and then just around the waist, it looks super weird because the waist is the hips are pretty wide on this, so, and the shirt has to fit over the hip parts on the side of the hips, and it just looks super weird. So I gotta say, it's a little bit of a fail in my opinion on this clothing option, but at least you have it included there. You might want to try it on some different kits, maybe it could look a little bit better. But with that kind of silly clothing off, here's what the unarmored version of the Titans is going to look like. Just a pretty standard body, going to be of course very similar to that of the Heracross. And overall, I mean, the build is pretty familiar. Of course, if you built the Heracross, then you have a really good idea what to expect going into this one, but even other than that, I mean, it's just very similar to building any other kind of Mecha Musume kit from the Attack Girls line or Kotobukiya or anything else like that. It goes together pretty similarly, so nothing really challenging in the way of the build. There's just kind of a lot to build, and it's mostly on the backpack. She doesn't really have a lot of armor and accessories. Once we get her her into her armored form, you'll see, I mean, there's a fair amount of parts there, but half the parts seems are all just on the backpack. So I am a little bit worried about weight issues with that, and we'll see if that becomes an issue or not. But let's go ahead and check out the accessories here. Now, one thing that we have with this kit is just a lot of leftover parts, so you'll have a good amount of those. And among those, you have the original thigh pieces from the Heracross kit, which are a little bit larger. So if you did prefer the proportions of that kit, with the main difference in the proportions basically being the thigh section here, you can swap those out. So you guys can see the difference here between the new thigh pieces and the older thigh pieces. One is certainly a little bit thicker than the other, so if you have a preference one way or the other, you do have the parts in there to change those. We'll stick with the intended ones for now, but you guys know I'm a man of culture, so I'll change it later. As for the rest of the skin tone parts, except for the faces, obviously you can replace those with just black parts here for the shoulders, for the midsection, and for the thighs, so you can replace all those if you want. Also these little bits of flesh tone pieces there, on the side of the hips. If we swap out the arms for the armored type, there's what those are going to look like, just like that, and then obviously we'll have the hands on there. Same thing for the legs, we can replace these with the armored type, so it's gonna give you about the same length, I mean slightly longer for the armored legs, and then obviously they've got just all this armor around on there. You got a couple hard points there on the side for adding on extra parts if you wanted to, option armor or something. We don't have anything included that can really plug onto there, but if you wanted to take stuff from other kits or something. For our option head, we've got all the parts to make 2 full heads except for the hair part on the back, so you will have to swap that out. We'll also swap out the top half of the torso for the armor version, but before we do that, just note that you do have 2 options for the chest size there, as well for the unarmored version. Obviously with the armored version, it's just the one that you got there for having that fully armored. So there's how the armored body is going to look, minus the hands. I'll get those on there in a second. You got a couple other parts that we'll use with that, but essentially everything else other than that is going to mainly just be the giant backpack here. Now again, of course, you have the option for the blade color. I just went with red for mine, but you can use that light blue if you want. Now this just plugs onto the back. It feels a little janky at the moment, so hopefully nothing's like really coming apart. And loaded up with the backpack, I can definitely confirm there are going to be some serious weight issues. Not only is there weight issues just with the backpack kind of just staying together, and I'll show you what I mean here in a minute, but problems with the base as well, because the connection piece that you have to connect that kind of backpack section, which is like attached to like the lower back, I guess to be precise. The connection piece for attaching that arm to the arm of the base is not an actual, like, it's more of like a resting connection. It doesn't actually like hold or plug into anything. It just kind of rests on there, which is kind of fine for supporting the weight, but what ends up happening just because of how the weight is distributed, that it ends up just like falling backwards over the back of the base anyway, is a bit of a mess. Fortunately, there is other things that you can do with the backpack aside from just having it just looking like this, although it does look very cool like that. It's very impressive with this big massive wingspan of the big giant 4 massive swords. But it is pretty plain to see that weight is going to give you some problems with this kit. So let me show you guys the 2 main issues. So the way these swords plug into here is just with this little connection piece like that. It's just now the whole thing came off the base, so you can see like this part just rests onto that part of the base there, and then that comes off again, and that happens like that. So that's gonna be an issue if you want to do that. But like I said, fortunately there's different things you can do with this. This whole section of the backpack can be removed, so you can just pop that out. And you can also remove this connector piece and then just plug your kind of the base parts of the swords just directly onto the backpack here like this. And I think this is still probably gonna be kind of heavy, but we can do like that. Yeah, and it's definitely not as much of an issue. If you do it like that, there's not as much weight on there, certainly, but now you don't have these big cool effect parts on there, and that's a little bit disappointing. So you can take those off and then just have them as handheld swords, but I want to show you guys these first. These are these just kind of mini little dagger kind of swords, and that's what you see up in the top 2. So you have 4 of them, but if you have these all connected, it's kind of hard. Well, I guess now we can do that now that we changed the orientation of this. Now we could plug all 4 into the backpack, but if you have them like with the effect parts and everything mounted up on there together, then you can't have them all 4 stored in the backpack. Those just all slot into there, so you've got 4 of those you can then use just as handheld weapons. Or we can take these apart, so take off these connector pieces, and we'll go ahead and plug our effect part back onto here, and then you can use this as a handheld sword, or you can pull that out and just have it as the little mini dude, or leave that in and just have it like that. The weird thing is like a weird angle. I feel like this handle should be up at an angle, so it's like kind of in line with the blade sort of, but as is, like kind of the blade goes like that, and then the handle kind of like goes boop down in kind of the opposite direction. It feels like that should be reversed, but you actually can't rotate it. It looks like you could rotate that, but you can. That's probably for the best, because then the weight would be an issue, and now like holding that, it would just fall down if that could rotate. But so the fact that it doesn't rotate is probably better for the weight, but just the angle looks a bit strange. One more thing that you can do with this is we take off another one of these, and we can actually combine these together. So if you notice, the handles on here are mirrored, and we can use these connection pieces right here and connect those together like that. And this is supposed to be a fusion sword mode, although I just don't really like it. There's not actually any photos of the kit using this in like the display photos in the manual. I think it's just because it's like a thing that they thought, oh, we can do that, but it doesn't necessarily look that good. So we'll include it in the manual, show like how to build it. And I guess the one thing that is kind of cool about this, instead of using it as like a sword or just like with like a blade sword weapon, but just use it as like a kind of cannon, because it does sort of look like if you just have it held onto here and then just like this big massive handheld sort of cannon like that, which is kind of cool. But it's a weird weapon, and I don't know, so it just kind of seems like they had some cool ideas for this kit, but the weapon design and like how everything was going to be made to actually work doesn't actually seem to be all that well thoroughly thought through. So we'll try out some different poses with this, and honestly guys, I'll do my best, but there's going to be weight issues. You're going to see some weapons that this kit just can't hold up, and that is going to be a problem. Now, it's not a problem that is irredeemable. I want to say, if you guys still like the design, then obviously there's ways around weight issues. You can tighten joints and things like that. You can use multiple stands to hold up the weapons, and so I mean it just depends on how you want to do it. There's ways around it if you're so inclined to go for a particular pose or something that's giving you trouble because of the weight. But fortunately we do also have the smaller sword daggers, which don't give you any problems at all because they're just really light, and so you can do some cool poses with those. And there's certainly, I mean, just a lot of cool poses that you can do with this, but definitely weight is going to be an issue for this kit, unfortunately. And it's not only from the weapons, but it's also from the base, so it's kind of like a double fail there that just kind of makes it difficult to do some poses with this kit. Overall though, I will say the kit, just in terms of how the kit looks, it still looks great. The colors are really cool, the design is a really cool design. I do really like the character design especially, so probably what I would end up doing with this is just taking the weapons and using them for something else, some other kit bash or something like that, and then just keeping this one kind of minimal, like just like the main body, and giving it some other different, just like smaller weapon or something from a different weapon set or something along those lines. But it's just something to think about. Anyway, if you guys have any thoughts and opinions about the kit, leave those down in the comment section below. If you have questions as well, of course, you can leave those for me. And I just want to know, what do you guys think of this kit? With the Attack Girls line so far, I've been overall pretty impressed. This is the first one that's kind of left me a little bit disappointed, but at the end of the day, the kit still looks good, so I don't want to harp on it too much. It's just kind of a little bit difficult to pose sometimes. But I am interested to hear what you guys think about the kit, so let me know. And if you guys are looking for some Attack Girls kits or any other Mecha Musume kits and all that good stuff, you can check the link and the coupon code to USA Gundam Store. That'll be down in the video description as always, so check out the kits there. Thank you guys all so much for your support, liking the video, commenting, subscribing. It's all greatly appreciated. Until next time, hope you guys are all having a great day. See you guys later. Bye bye.